This is the Rick Howe Show on News 95.7. Now, here's Rick.
Hope your Tuesday's been a good day. Hi there. Welcome to the final hour of our show today. I'm Rick Howe, and here's what's coming up for you this hour. New Brunswick's doctors are asking the Alward government to stop funding trips abroad for the so-called liberation therapy. We'll hear reaction from MS patient Chris Alkenbrack, who is one of the first Maritimers to undergo the treatment. 6:08 right now. All right, first up this hour, the president of the New Brunswick Medical Society has written to the Alward government asking it to stop funding travel abroad for the so-called liberation therapy. New Brunswick is the only province that provides such help. MS patients can get $2,500 cash from the province. The Medical Society says, however, the liberation therapy is not medically effective and is, well, a threat perhaps to the vast majority of MS patients. Chris Alkenbrack is one of those patients. In fact, he was one of the first to travel overseas for the therapy, and he joins us this afternoon from his home in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Not too bad.
Well, what do you think about the stand here that the New Brunswick Medical Society is taking in asking the Alward government to stop funding these trips abroad?
Well, first of all, I think that part of I pulled their press release from the webpage of the New Brunswick Medical Society, and I read what they had to say. And personally, as an MS patient, and I followed this file from day one, some of it is absolutely untrue.
Well, they say, and I'm quoting here now, recent studies have shown it's not medically effective in treating the vast majority of patients with multiple sclerosis. It's time for New Brunswick to suspend funding for individuals seeking this treatment. They're basically saying that the liberation therapy that you underwent, and that you have told us on several occasions that turned your life around, that they're saying it's basically not medically effective.
Yeah, exactly. And well, that's what they're saying. But you know what? Before they can say something like that, Rick, they also mentioned that there were 82 people that have received the funding, the $2,500 from the government at that time. I think before they come out and make a statement like this, I wonder if they polled those 82 people, because I've spoken with some of the people that have had the procedure in New Brunswick, and there's one guy I visit regularly. I just got home from New Brunswick yesterday, and I visit him regularly, and he's not doing all that great, but he went from what he calls himself a conscious corpse to having a little bit of a life. So it's a question of, like, when you're in an advanced case of MS, it's a question of quality of life, and I think that's what we should be looking at, is quality of life. So they're saying it's not viable and that there are no long-term benefits. But when we look at MS is a lifetime disease. So how can we even talk about long-term benefits if we're only talking about a period of 3 or 4 years?
Well, they're talking about treatments that they say have been shown to improve the condition of patients with MS. Is there such a thing out there?
Well, yeah, exactly. It says, actually, I highlighted it, it's time to move on and use those health dollars to help MS patients through proven means. Well, I've had MS for 21 years, and I think I've read everything that's ever been written on the subject for the last 15, and I would really like to know what those treatments are, because, this is by far, they're getting the best benefit out of the dollar they're spending by helping these. They're complaining about $75,000, Rick. This is ridiculous. The province, actually, the Atlantic Division of the MS Society of Canada is proposing that the province of New Brunswick do co-pays for the medications on MS. For MS patients, these medications have already been proven to be ineffective. And we're looking at not a cost of $75,000, but we're looking at a cost of upwards into the tens of millions of dollars that they would be spending on medication that the studies have already proven they don't work.
But again, I'm reading from the release here from the New Brunswick Medical Society that says, quote, studies across North America have confirmed what was feared. Patient outcomes for the procedure show it is largely ineffective, and in some cases, patients had serious complications related to the surgery.
Yes. Okay. So let's put this in context. Where are these studies coming from? These studies that they're quoting come mostly from neurologists. Okay?
And you think
there's definitely a divide between even Dr. Robert Zavadnov, the chief researcher in the Buffalo studies that are often quoted. He has stated in conferences He said, isn't it interesting that the positive studies on CCSVI are coming from the vascular journals and so forth, and the negative studies all come from neurology, from neurological journals. And the MS Society-sponsored studies are always negative. I don't know what it is. I have my theories around that, mostly conspiracy. But anyway, we need to look at the origin of these studies.
Well,
because he quoted the one in Newfoundland. It was a very small study, okay? And he quoted the one done on 9 patients, okay? We have a neurologist in Canada who is treated for CCSVI, a neurologist. Plus we have over 20 doctors, okay? And this neurologist said to Kirsty Duncan in a private email, but Kirsty quoted from this email in the House of Commons, said, if we had collected data from the very beginning, we wouldn't even be questioning this anymore. And we're talking who's been treated for CCSVI.
And you yourself, again, have undergone the therapy.
Yes.
And you say that, again, it was a life-changing situation. How long ago was that again, Chris?
3 years, 1 month, and 28 days, not that I'm counting.
But you have admitted that perhaps you might be in need of another one, huh?
Yes, probably. Yeah. I mean, some of my symptoms are coming back. The fatigue is definitely coming back.
But you had 3 years. You had 3 years, though, of otherwise normal activities that you might not have had.
Absolutely. And I spoke with a doctor, actually. I met a doctor, and I had coffee with him. His name, he's spoken out about this. That's why I'm not, I'll use his name on the air. His name is Dr. Ron Unger, okay? He has primary progressive MS. He's a retired physician from British Columbia. I had coffee with him on the morning of May 17th, 2010 in Poland. He was there to get the procedure. I spoke with him last week. He's doing great.
And again, I've talked to many other MS patients who have also undergone this therapy, and they say the same thing. Yeah. So I just don't get the reluctance here by established doctors, the Medical Society of New Brunswick, for example, the opposition to this.
Exactly, and they say in some cases it's been harmful. Well, excuse me, let's look at the drugs. Let's look at their efficacy record. Tysabri is one of the main drugs that's being pushed on MS patients. Okay, it was pulled from the market in 2006, 2005, 2006, came back on because of a push from the MS societies, their neurologists, and a few patient advocates, okay? They've had, here, I wrote it down. Anyway, they've had close to 400 cases of a very rare progressive brain infection, okay, which causes a 23% chance of death. And so, yes, okay, there are risks with this therapy. There are risks with the drugs that they give us, too. And, this is not a debate, Rick, that's going to end you'll be long retired before this debate finishes.
Wow.
But it's unfortunate because, once again, MS patients are hostage in the middle of this.
And Chris, I thank you as always for your insight on these matters. And I don't know what I can tell you other than I wish you guys the best of luck in getting this therapy and getting your lives back to some semblance of normalcy. And we'll talk again, I'm sure.
Thanks, and we're not going away. Don't worry about that.
All right, Chris. Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye-bye. Chris Alkenbrack, an MS patient living in the Annapolis Valley here in Nova Scotia.